perfect is to change often, so we can always get better.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's fast. I heard you think
Aristotle out.
Mike P.
Right, P.
Mike P.
Well, definitely, I'm definitely thankful for all y'all, no doubt, no doubt. But also, you know, thankful we got doors to knock on everything, you know, like that, yeah.
Thank you for the doors.
Yeah. And thankful for everything.
Wow.
That's a whole lot of thankfulness right here.
Man.
Oh, Colt is
Cold with Ted.
Colt on. Colt 45. Look at this man, Colt. Look at this man, Colton.
Where's Corey at? Give me one. Give it to me one time. Where's he at?
Where's he at?
Hey, Corey's at customer. Say it. No, say the thing. Say what?
Look at this man, Colt.
Look at this man, bro.
Man, I wouldn't buy shit from that dude, man. He's got a chain on his leg, man.
This man got a spike
Dude, yeah. Let's get Corey's in custody.
Alright, go ahead. Settle.
Hey, what's up, man? Oh, ADT? I don't want to waste your time.
Hey, no problem.
Nah, no shakes.
Oh, no shakes, man. No big deal. Look, what I've been doing for a lot of the other neighbors, it's really cool. I know you're kind of busy guy, but really quick with you. I just work for the advertising department for ADT. Our whole thing is we just want more signs in yards, right? Have you seen signs around?
Just a few.
Okay. Yeah, I know Mr. Mike over there has us as well.
I know Mike.
Okay, cool. How long have you known Mike?
We grew up together.
Awesome, dude. Like, I went to like high school. Played softball, cheerleaded together.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah, awesome. But what we did for Mike is, what he did for us is actually really nice. He got a sign in the yard, and since he helped us out with the sign for the advertising, what we were able to do for him was have a budget to cover a couple cameras to go up on his home. I know that he said he had some packages stolen like 2 months ago. His wife orders a ton of packages. Is your wife the same, I assume?
I don't have a wife.
Are
She
you?
died last year.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
Come on.
That sucks, man. Sorry to hear that, but you want to hug or something?
What is this?
Anyways. Look, are you, do you order
Do I get all this?
Yeah, so what it is we get a certain budget to cover the house. We cover all the upfront costs for you, as well as the installation fee. All we need from you is just 3 things, really simple. Just keep the sign out front, so everybody can see it when it passes by. Keep the system connected so that it actually works. And then just don't brag to the neighbors about it. You know, you're getting this covered if you help us today, but they're not going to do the same thing. So, you know, they're going to have to pay full price. Make sense?
Kind of.
Okay, cool. Do you think you can do those things for us?
Yeah.
Awesome. Push. So have you ever used a security system before?
Do I get the cameras?
Yeah. You get the cameras. Which one do you think you use the most? Doorbell, outdoor? Mike liked the doorbell a lot because, like I said, his wife orders a ton of packages.
Well, my car did get broken into.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when they stole from Mike, they came and hit me.
Wow. Holy cow. How long ago was that? Same time frame, 2 months?
2 months ago.
Okay, cool. What did they take from you?
My father's pistol.
Oh,
He
wow.
passed away.
Wow. Yeah, that's what you're replacing now.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Vulnerable.
Yeah, 100%. So what we're gonna do is use that outdoor camera to go up on to go up over the truck.
For sure.
So that way that doesn't happen again, okay?
Okay.
Alright. And like
Can
I
I
said,
pull this up on my phone?
yeah, you sure can. Yeah, it's really cool. So this is kind of what it will look like. So that'll go up there, you know, pretty simple. 24/7 recording, it'll alert you if there is motion around the car, which is pretty nice.
Can I talk to that?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it has two-way.
Really?
Audio. Yeah, so if anybody is messing with your car, you can go get out of here. You know.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
They come around in the nighttime. Does it have like?
Yeah, it has night vision.
Thermal
as well.
vision or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, it also has night vision.
Really?
So it's pretty neat. And like I said, it also does 24/7 recording. So if you're at work or something, you can come back and look at it. You know, because I know you get a ton of notifications on your phone all day. You know, saying there's motion and stuff, whatever. If you did have a camera. But that way, if anything does happen, you can go back and look at it.
Alright.
Cool. Alright, look, but we know that the cameras don't call the cops. You know, unfortunately, they haven't started doing that yet. But what we get to provide you also is the security system. Like I was saying, have you ever used a security system before?
Yeah, actually in the past.
Oh, really? Is the house pre-wired with one? I know Mr. Mike's was.
No, we used one in the old house.
Okay, gotcha. So you're kind of familiar with like probably like the really old panel, like flip down
Yeah,
pots and the
flip
pots
pots,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. Okay, sweet. This one's actually going to be a lot nicer than that. So it's going to look like a big iPad on the wall. We do need like a plug-in to plug it in. Can you show me where
Is
like
it
a wireless? What do you mean? What's all wireless? The panel?
Yeah.
The panel mounts up on the wall and it plugs into the wall with a 48-hour backup battery life. We will need an outlet to plug it into. A lot of people like to put it like near the door, like by the kitchen. Where do you think you'd rather have it?
My wife goes in, or sorry, my kid goes in through the garage.
Okay.
I go in through the front door.
Okay.
Does it really matter?
Doesn't matter. Can you show me where you want it?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, of course.
My wife is dead.
My
father's pistol died.
That was how they make you feel.
Everyone is dead in his family. Everyone died. Dad died. Wife died. Dog dead.
There was some really good things they called him did there. He slowed it down there, and he asked a bunch of questions when he gave him something. That was probably the most standout, noteworthy thing of your whole pitch. Was like if he gave you something, you kind of just push a little deeper, and you ask probably like 1 or 2 questions, and that helped build your pitch a bit. And then probably the only thing I'd add is he asked you a bunch of like questions, like buying questions about like all the voice. But yeah, I can show you how the features work. The glare's kind of bad on my iPad. You mind if we step in real quick and I'll show you how the cameras work and you can pick where you want them. But except for that, like obviously tough customer, like there's some funny things in there, but overall like really good pitch. Yeah.
Yeah, I would add, when Corey came out, he was obviously like a bull, like, he's like, oh no, didn't want to shake your hand, right? Whenever I get a bull, you want to be more direct, because, I mean, what you did's good and it'll work for some people, but you were just like, oh no, that's fine, I'm actually with ADT, and you just kind of went into like the generic pitch. What you want to do instead is with your when a bull, be like, hey, it's actually super important that I talk to you and let you know what's going on here in the neighborhood. You're going to hear some sirens going off on the street. And then that gets their attention, and then that way, after you have their attention, then just like how you brought up Mike and name drop, you do that too with the bull after that, and then you're able to get them to listen. What's on you?
Yeah.
You got a few bugs on you.
That's wild, bro.
Dude, you got bed bugs?
You got like,
You got some bad bugs.
Keep the lights, huh?
And then I also just add, like, you're try to find the hot button and build it, and if you can't find it, just give them their own hot button. Just whatever you pitch, you'll sell. So it doesn't
That
matter.
was yeah, really good.
Money.
Money.
Moolah.
Moolah.
Oh, Mr. Harris.
Moolah.
Speaking of moolah.
Who's ready to make some moolah?
Me!
I do.
Alright guys.
Pick me.
So today I was just going to be talking about some of the most important parts of the sale that I think have increased my sales from when I first started to now. Yeah, so the 3 things I want to talk about are advertising. That's probably the most important part of the entire sale. The advertising. And then the other 2 are the benefits of the system and and the pullbacks. Yeah, a lot of sense there. So yeah, I was just gonna be talking about that. Like if you guys are pitching advertising and not making it make sense, the rest of the sale doesn't make sense. Because the whole point of them getting the system paid for is because they're advertised. So if the advertising doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense why they get the system, and then it doesn't make sense why they give you the credit card, and then it makes sense why you don't get your sales. So yeah, if you want sales, make sure you guys are explaining advertising in depth. Because yeah, without the advertising, the whole pitch kind of falls apart. The best way to make the advertising make sense is kind of just customize the advertising to that specific home. So everybody knows like the corner homes, the T homes, those are probably the easiest ones. The corner homes are probably the easiest houses to sell just because the advertising makes so much sense, and that's why they are so easy to sell, because it makes the advertising make sense. So if you guys can make the advertising make sense to each home specifically, it'll increase your sales a lot.
How do you make it make more sense if it's like a home in the middle of the street,
Right.
very boring looking, there's literally no nothing special about it? Like,
So yeah, if it's a home in the middle of the street, you're focused less on the location of the house, but the person you're talking to. So you wanna grab questions, or you wanna ask questions throughout your pitch, so that way you're getting information about them. Because if you find out what they do for work, you can make that the reason you want them to advertise. Hey, he's a realtor, he's a lawyer, he works at the gas station up the street. Like any job where any person that has a job where they communicate with other people, that's just as strong as them living on the corner, because just as many people cross the corner homes in cars, they talk to people when they come to the gas station and buy a Twix bar, you know? So yeah, if they live in a crappy house, probably because they work at a gas station. Oh yeah, you work at a gas station, that's be perfect. Anytime any of your neighbors come by, they stop, they see you guys, everybody knows you because you work right up the street. We just want you guys to be the advertising because everybody knows you out here in the neighborhood.
Another one I like to use too, like you can tell when people own their homes, like if they have like whatever, the Mucciellos on like this wooden thing, and like
The Mucciellos.
you've invested into their house. I already know if they have older cars, they've probably been there for 40 years. They open the door, they're older. I almost act like I already know. Yeah, I know, I've been trying to let neighbors, you guys have been here for a while, right? Yeah, I've been here 40 years. Oh, perfect, you're actually the ones I like working with because you're local to the area and you know everyone. You're not going to move out, you know, you're probably seeing a lot of change in the neighborhood, a lot of turnover. That's not good for us for advertising because you've been here for a long time. You're the ones that we like to invest in. And then that's a good one. They have a really nice yard. Hey, obviously it's a good representation on ADT. If we can have our sign out here, just because it'll look really good. You take care of your house, you invest a lot of time into it. It really wouldn't look good on your neighbor's house there because they don't ever mow their lawn. The lawn's a big one.
Yeah,
They've been in there a long time.
but yeah,
You guys
the
are
question-
new move in, like, oh, you're a new move in? Yeah, like, obviously you guys are newer to the neighborhood, you're hip and happening, you're kind of bringing new change in. We want all the older neighbors to see that, like, ADT is the go-to company. Like,
Housewarming party.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways. So if the house is in a good location, it's not on the corner, it's not at the T of a street, if they just moved in, if they've been there forever, I mean, like, really you can just make anybody can be like a great advertising home because you just make it make sense to them. All right, say they lived there 5 years, so they didn't just move in, they haven't lived there forever, they live in the middle of the street, but he cuts people's grass. Everybody in the neighborhood knows him for cutting people's grass, and so when they see he has an ADT sign in front of his perfect lawn, then they're gonna want ADT. So it doesn't just have to be the location of the house, just try and nitpick, and that's why asking questions throughout your pitch and kind of finding out more about your customer will make it easier for you to customize your pitch. Not just the equipment they're getting, but the advertising, which just makes it make more sense.
And I try not even to pitch the whole we pay for it part until I can find out like what they do for work. Because then I already threw my ace at them, and then it makes more sense. Like, not like, hey, real quick, I was hoping to chat, man. You are like super busy all the time. I try to catch you. What do you do for work?
Yeah, I'm a pet groomer.
Okay, boom. Like, you own your own business?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't say we're paying for anything or anything like that. Now when I go to pitch, I can tie in that he owns his own business. He
Oh,
can give
this
me
is
some
perfect.
referrals.
You own the pet business? Man, all your neighbors have dogs. This is going to be perfect for what we're doing. We just want you to keep the sign out, and everybody's going to know who you are, so it's going to help us out a ton. If you keep the sign out, we'll pay for a system, because you own the pet company. So yeah.
ridiculously fire. Like, that interaction that Mike said there will get you so many more sales than just like, you know, a generic pitch.
So they've heard a pitch, so if I can, before I even try and like pitch, oh, we pay, if I can pull some information out of him and make my pitch about him, it's going to make it way easier.
Also, another one to use is if you get into a neighborhood where you know everybody uses Google Fiber, and they say, oh, if they like with the jackets, sometimes they'll have like the Google logo on.
Right.
They think you're either from Google Fiber or something like that, and just be like, oh no, not Google Fiber, blah blah blah. Later on, just be like, do you have Google Fiber? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, oh sweet, we can give you some discounts because of that.
Yeah.
So then it makes them feel more special.
Right.
Because I've literally got customers like that bought it because they were like, oh, I have Google Fiber. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like legit.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can really just make as long as you're customizing the system to fit their home in specific, regardless if it's advertising equipment or anything, they're more likely to buy it a ton. But not just identifying how you can customize the advertising to them at the beginning. You want to make sure you guys are re-explaining the advertising throughout the entire pitch all the way up until billing. Because like, even when I'm dropping price, like when I go to drop price and get their credit card information, I'm re-explaining the advertising right before I get their credit card information. Because again, it just makes the entire pitch make more sense. Yeah, so like I said, because we are paying for all this equipment, you guys do have to keep the sign out. Are you cool? And then I'll ask them. I'll tell them that they have to keep the sign out, and then I'll ask them if they're okay with doing that. They're always going to be okay with keeping the sign out if you're at billing. So it's kind of just a rhetorical question, but that makes them feel like they're doing something. So like I said, because we are covering the cost of all the equipment, the reason we're doing this is because you guys are helping us advertise, and so without you guys keeping the sign out, there's no point in us paying for the equipment. Are you going to keep the sign out for us? You're going to be like, yeah. All right, perfect. Well, yeah, if you guys can promise to do that for us, then we're going to cover the equipment. And now they're just from that line, like their buying temperature is just shooting through the roof because they're like, oh wow, I'm keeping the sign out, and he's going to pay for my equipment. Like, they love that. I don't know why. It's ridiculous.
I feel like they earned it. I feel like they earned it.
Yeah, they feel like they earned it, so they feel special, and yeah. So, but also with the advertising, it allows you to have pullbacks, just like with what I just did with the dropping price. Like, if you make advertising make enough sense, it allows you to have pullbacks. Because if advertising doesn't make sense, then you don't have any pullbacks. Because the pullback is that they have to advertise, the pullback is that they have to be flexible with the technician. If the advertising in the same day doesn't make sense, then you're not going to have any ammunition to do pullback. So like some people are scared to say like, hey, we got to do it today. But if you don't tell them that they have to do it today, then you don't have any pullback whenever you're dropping the price, because now you can't say we have to do it today to get the equipment. You have nothing to make them feel like they earned it. So it's not a negative thing to like tell them that they have to do it today or anything like that, because it allows you to have more ammunition to pull back and then make them feel like they have to earn it, and then they're more likely to buy. But yeah, once you guys explain the advertising enough and make it make sense, all the customer wants to know is once they truly understand advertising, then all they want to know is what they're going to get for helping us out. So I'd spend a ton of time on advertising and then move on to how it's going to benefit them. Do you guys know like the difference between the benefits and the features of a system? Yeah. Nate, you know like the difference between a benefit and a feature of a door lock?
Yeah, so like a feature of the door lock might be that you can clear codes. That's a really cool feature. But a benefit of that is that for them specifically, they might have house sitters or in-laws that come through, and it benefits them because it's multiple codes for different people. So
right.
The features and benefits, like the feature is kind of the removed, the benefits is kind of applied to them.
Right. And that just goes into making the system fit their home specifically. So when it comes to advertising, equipment, closing, anything, if you can make this entire program fit their life, the closer you can get it to fit their life, the more likely they're to buy it. But
yeah. One thing, I don't know if you guys are doing it or not, but tie benefit or tie a feature of the system to a benefit for them. So how is like the two-way voice going to work for them, or how is the night vision going to be beneficial to them, or whatever it is.
Right, you can still list these features, but once you list them, like Kyle's saying, tie it into the benefit of their specific family.
And the beautiful part of that is because you learned about them early in the pitch because you asked questions, now you know how to tie it down to them. When you learn that they were a truck driver, hey, you know, if you're grooming your dog, you actually need a notification on your phone, you get a little buzz so you see up the front door when you're not here.
Yeah.
Now I just made it like, I painted a picture of them not being at their house because I know what he's talking about. And then it makes the customer feel like, oh wow, this kid's actually listening to me. He's not trying to sell me, right? He's customizing it to me, he's making it about me, and it doesn't feel like a sales process anymore. It feels like you're helping him along the process.
It all goes back to asking questions and making your pitch a conversation, because you want, like, the better you get in sales is just transferring your scripted pitch into a conversation. Once you can transform your scripted pitch into conversating with the neighborhood, one, your job gets a lot more enjoyable because you're not feeling like you're just going out there and saying the same thing. And two, you get to meet cool people, and like now you're just chatting up with people regardless if they get the system or not. It doesn't bother you because you know there's somebody out there that's going to have a good conversation with you and you're going to end up selling them. Like, I'm sure Lamont and Ron go out there knowing that they're going to sell every day because they're literally just going out and having conversations. Like, Lamont doesn't say the same thing at every door, and neither does Ron. If you listen to their pitches, it's all the same basis, but none of the words are the same. They're all in mixed orders, they're all in different conversations, But the reason they're selling is because they're turning their pitch into a conversation. But
I'm gonna add to that. So last week was like my roughest week of the season.
What's up, bro?
Sorry.
And I figured out what it was. Like at the end of the week, I was trying to show Sean like how to do the job. This is how you pitch. This is how you rebuttal. This is how you overcome objections. Just like the A, B's, and C's. But I totally like left out the rapport building. Like all my sales is because, not because like I said the pitch really good and it just clicked. It's because Lamont sold them and they really liked me. And so when you really get to like know that customer and they get to know you, that's what makes your freaking sales. Like it's not just the A, B, and C. It's just not the sign, the advertising, the system. It's like, hey, who are you? You get to know me, you get to trust me, you like me. I get to the point where it's like even people that don't buy from me, they're like, I really like you. You're like, I'm so sorry. You know, I'm sure you guys have had that where it's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I really like you. And so when you can build that rapport with them, you just, that's what's going to close those deals for you. And
what strategies do you have for doing that with people who are like, yeah man, get to the point, like what's up? Like,
I mean, you bull them. If it's a bull right there at the door, you bull them for a second, but then you have to pull back and you have to still build rapport. You're not going to get the sell just by running through the entire thing until you're like, oh yeah, I'll be super quick with you. This is what we're doing out here working with the neighbors. Everyone wants security. I'm sure you've thought about it, right? And then I'm sure you've looked at cameras. Okay, maybe. Yeah, which cameras have you looked at? Outdoor camera, okay, yeah, why that one? Then I'll try to slow it down with them. And so you definitely don't want to try to like bull rush your way through all the cells, but you have to slow it down and build rapport eventually.
you only really need to bull them as long as they bulled you. So like, you can kind of tell when their tension breaks after like, all right, get the hell off my property, blah, 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 and then you're like, oh yeah, no, I'll be super quick, blah, 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 this is what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. Like, once you broke those first 20 seconds of him listening to you, he's listening to you now. Like, it was just a quick 20 seconds where he was like, oh, if I'm mean for 20 seconds, this person will get off. But once you beat that, it's like all of his energy drained. He can't keep that up throughout the entire process. Otherwise, you're going to realize that you can just leave. But anybody that's being a bull, but they're continuing to listen, like they can only keep that high energy of I'm going to be a bull for so long, and then they just break down. And those are sometimes like the easiest people to sell because after you break them, they respect you, and then you guys are just chatting it up about whatever the hell they like talking about. But yeah, so.
Spitting. Well, I think I was gonna add on. I mean, yeah, that was the perfect response. But going back a little bit, like scarcity sells, guys. So like, how many of you guys have gone to buy a pair of shoes on Amazon and it says only one left?
You buy
in your size.
that day.
Are you more likely to buy it if there's only one left?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're gonna get way more sales that way too. So realize, like, yeah, make them like, hey, I'm not going to do 2 in the neighborhood. So I have a budget for these things. I gotta do 2. If that's not you, that's fine. I'll give it to the neighbor. But this is what I'm doing, and that builds way more urgency because you don't want to get freaking TIO'd and just chasing callbacks all summer. It drains you. You're walking all around your hood, like, bang. They gotta be flexible. So.
All right, and most of the time with the TIOs, like I'd say 20, like maybe 20% of them go through.